Hello everybody, my name is Splice Knight. Welcome to Reflections again. I realize that it's very low quality and I do apologize for that. I'm actually recording this on my phone because I'm prepping to go to an event that'll be all weekend, so I won't actually have time to film the Friday show. And I realize it sounds like someone else I was just watching, Philip DeFranco. But anywho, with that said, guys, welcome to the Friday show. Today we're going to be talking about... It sounds so weird to me. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about the Arrow season finale. Now, I feel like I have a very unpopular opinion when it comes to this because when it comes to these sorts of finales, I like ones that are able to actually balance out the emotions with the actual action. And I felt like this one, you know, they had started from the previous episode really strong, kind of going into it. Oliver, obviously, he was pissed off. He was angry. He was channeling that anger in a way that ended up getting him teamed up with the Dark Archer, also known as Merlin. And as well, obviously, he's now teaming up with Captain Boomerang and Deathstroke. Now, the interesting thing is that Deathstroke is actually clear-minded. He's not corrupted by the Mirakuru anymore. So he's actually thinking almost more logically than Oliver right now, who's a little bit clouded judgment with his anger. But at the same time, it seems like that's focusing him to actually do what he should have done in the beginning and just kick some ass. So with that said, the actual contents of the episode, the main points were good, but I felt like as an overall episode, it felt like it dragged a lot in between the main points. There was a lot of talking as they were walking to different points in the actual island that I felt like really undercut the dramatic tension set by the previous episode. And with that said, it felt like that the entire time. And they rehashed the whole Thea and Merlin issue of, I don't want you to be my dad, or blah, blah, blah. You have no right to be my dad. You've been a douchebag for the last 4 seasons, and the 4th season, it just made no fucking sense why you were a dick bag. And so with that whole kind of development going on, you realize that there's the whole him giving himself up for Thea. I mean, it does suit his character, but I don't know. It felt very forced in that particular scene, so I wasn't super huge on that. And here's the thing, guys. I don't like being critical of the shows. I enjoy them a lot, but I have to be critical of this one. So anyway, that was kind of my first thoughts on the actual episode, and that was my emotional kind of roller coaster going through it. But also, looking at the actual technical production, it didn't feel like a whole lot very special. Obviously, the end scene with William and Oliver was interesting, but I don't know, like, since the whole bond between him and William was never really developed that much outside of he's my son, I gotta save him kind of bullshit. I mean, it didn't make a whole lot of sense in that case. And then, obviously, Adrian follows out on his threat and he kills everybody. At least supposedly. Obviously, it didn't happen quite that way. A lot of people were able to find a way to deal with the explosion. I don't know how they're going to deal with that. They might just retcon it or something. I don't know. But even with that said, guys, thoughts are thoughts, and reality being, I don't really know how they're going to go through and move with this, but I do know that overall I wasn't super satisfied with the actual episode. It left me feeling like there needed to be more or something to actually give me a sense of actual loss. And I know a lot of people are freaking out like, oh, this character's dead or this character's dead, and that's fair. I do kind of feel lost for the decent version of the Canary and the decent version of Laurel. But at the same time, some of the characters were really kind of coming to the end of their rope and being like, okay, why are you on the show at this point? And I realize that's probably super harsh to say since a lot of people enjoy the characters, but it just felt like a lot of the characters this season weren't doing a whole lot. And this was really accented in the beginning with the team. But obviously as the, maybe 3 remaining members gained a level of competence, it actually turned into something relatively palpable. And then from there, obviously... So yeah, actually, I really did enjoy the scenes with Adrian Chase in it. I felt those were probably the strongest of the season, which, I don't know, I was really... Well, I actually, I wouldn't say the strongest of the season, but strongest of the episode anyway. They really had the most development and I guess compelling storyline that was going on. But other than that, I mean, it just felt, a lot of the interactions felt weirdly forced, and I feel like at that point they really shouldn't have. A lot of the things that were being, how do I put this? A lot of the points that were being brought across as far as plot points when they were in the cages and moving between people and finding stuff, and for whatever reason, and I don't know, I might be alone on this, but the actual emotional impact really didn't hit me with this episode. It just felt like they were just saying their lines almost. And for a show where this season has been, for the most part, hitting things out of the park on the emotional and the action range, I was just like, this is not finale material, at least in my opinion. Now, odds are I'm a little bit biased, so I do apologize if that does... Well, obviously it's coming out. But I feel like I really enjoyed the Flash finale more, and I did see it first, so it might have colored my expectations for Arrow a little differently than it needed to. But I did actually wait like a week to actually watch the Arrow finale. Now, with that said, obviously you have the moment where all the decent characters, the decent versions of Black Canary, you also have Black Siren, and Deathstroke, and Malcolm Merlyn, and all these characters that I really enjoyed, and they were killed off, which, to be fair, was very shocking, but at the same time, I'm like, fuck! There go all, like, the fun characters. And Black Siren's coming back because she's actually been signed on, but at the same time, like, you kind of get this feeling of, damn, man, you killed all the fun characters. And I really do hope, though, that obviously the Canary comes back. The new Black Canary, because she was badass. I mean, obviously, I'm going to get a lot of hate for the criticism I have for the Arrow season finale, as it seems to be the one everybody's jumping on the bandwagon of saying, oh, that's like the best finale of the season. And I'm like, no, it really wasn't. And, I do understand that, he's always, 10 steps ahead and playing this whole algorithm out. And that's fine. That's cool. That was actually a really interesting part of Adrian Chase's character. And obviously, I have to say this, the parts that Adrian Chase, his character, was in the actual show, for the most part, it was pretty strong. The group battle felt kind of weak, but, I mean, it was entertaining for the visual, fighting aspect a little bit. However, guys, it was a interesting finale. In all honesty, I enjoyed it. I was conflicted. I had a lot of different emotions, and the fact that they actually gave you this sort of impossible choice, which is actually mirroring a psychological experiment, which was the idea of there's a train on a track, and this track has a lever that'll split onto 2 sort of different places. Now, the choices were, if you let it stay there, it would run over a large group of people that you didn't know. However, if you switch the track, it would be on the group of people you didn't know would end up suffering. Or, if you let it stay there, your one singular friend would end up dying. So this is a person you've bonded with, whatever. And most people generally pick to save the person that they know personally. So one thing I do have to mention, though, before we finish things up, It's the fact that they locked Evelyn in the cage, which at the time appeared humane, but when they realized that there's charges all over the entire island, I mean, it basically turned into an execution chamber. Like, that's messed up. So I think obviously she's not going to be returning. Now, that said, considering the fact that Adrian Chase actually had to kill himself to actually initialize this, it was actually very interesting. Just so much going on. All just, like, I don't know. There was a fair bit going on, and it felt like some of it wasn't super well conveyed, though. I thought it was interesting, the, like, super short scene that we had with the two canaries duking it out. I was disappointed that wasn't longer. And when Talia and Nyssa ended up actually fighting, there wasn't a whole lot of actual time spent on that. So the ultimate, like, big fight scene didn't really happen too much. I don't know, it just felt like all the stuff was pretty minimal. I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking out of my ass, but my thoughts are, it didn't kind of stick with me the way that the season 3 of the Flash finale stuck with me. I found that it wasn't super emotionally charging because the person that Oliver decided to risk his life for, which actually, it's his son. I do kind of get the emotional connection to that. But I feel like given who he was giving up, it's a difficult situation and a difficult decision, obviously, to make. But I'm surprised he wouldn't have thought of his friends who were on the island. Then again, his entire crusade was mainly to deal with his son, even though all his friends had already been previously taken. So it kind of makes sense to make that decision. Anyway, guys, that's just my quick thoughts. I realize this might have been super jumpy as I had to record this a few times because my phone's a piece of shit and it just doesn't have the capacity to record past like 5 minutes. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. My name's Splice Knight, and I'm sorry this is such a weird video, but again, I am packing to head out for the next several days, and I still have to get a bunch of videos figured out. I still have to edit the fucking AMV for Monday right now. It's currently only Thursday, but I won't be able to deal with it on the weekend. So, yeah, that'll be a thing. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys. If you like this video, subscribe. If you liked yesterday's video, which I do recommend you go watch because it's going to be way more interesting. I'm talking about Skullduggery Pleasant, something I'm massively passionate about. I try not to give a whole lot of spoilers, so if you guys want your spoilers for things, you can go do that there, but, honestly, it ruins the book experience for me, so I didn't do it for you guys, in case it would ruin the booking experience for you, which is a normal thing. Anyway, with that said, guys, thank you so much for watching again, and I will talk to you next time. Splice Knight out.